Godfather of vampire thrillers.
And for a change,
Amisha Campbell, sidekick.
Yep.
And last, usually least, but most definitely first to roast both Kevin, Brian, and Amisha, it is the small, medium, at large, Baron Voltage. And a recreational hypnotist at that, you will remember.
So before we get into tonight's topic,
Uh-oh.
we need to, of course, cover our first sponsor.
Oh, yes. Audible!
Audible.
Folks,
Audible.
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 I'm disappointed for that matter. It just occurred to me, we didn't do our traditional hello, hello, hello.
Should we do our traditional
Yes.
hello, hello, hello?
Hello.
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 So for those of you who are wondering, that is our mic check when we get into the studio.
Yep. Checking mic. 1, 2,
It's
1, 2.
tradition.
Hello.
We
So-
didn't do it this time.
Yeah, which is why we did it on air.
Mm-hmm.
We give everybody. So there's one other thing we need to do in terms of bookkeeping after we talk about Audible. But first off,
Uh-oh.
so if you're not familiar with Audible, and you should be,
Mm-hmm.
Audible is a fantastic program where you can get thousands of audiobooks.
Thousands.
There are on every topic you can think of. All of Brian's books are on there.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest Carrie Vaughn, who did the Kitty Norville book, her books are on there.
Yep.
There are books in the paranormal. There are books on vampires.
Dacre
There's even
Stoker.
Dacre Stoker's on there.
Yep.
Anne Rice is on there. Tens of thousands of books. If you go to audibletrial.com/paranormale, audibletrial.com/paranormale, you can get a free audiobook.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't just got fiction on there, too. They got plenty of reference materials,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
research materials, you name it.
Self-help
Self-help books, yep. There you
Yep.
go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually big on the self-help section.
Yep.
There you go.
Finding something that actually is worth it, the time and effort.
I sit in a cold security shack all day. What do you think I do? I listen to audios. And I'm not a music person. I listen to audiobooks.
I actually don't understand people who can work to music. It's like, I can never get myself to work if music's playing.
Oh, I do. I like music.
To each their own. But, okay, so, again, audibletrial.com/paranormally. But there's the other big exciting announcement. And why people who follow our channel may be wondering why there isn't a plate of food in front of Baron.
Oh, crap. Okay, listen, and I'm going to state this right now, okay? I love every single one of you subscribers, and I'm going to put that very, 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 very succinctly. I love every single one of you. But I'm going to have to kill yous. Damn you. Because now...
Or at least the last 7.
Or at least the
Yeah.
last 7. I at least know
Hey,
who the
because
last
if it
4
wasn't
were.
If it had been exactly 7, we'd still be at 500. Because we're at
All right.
507.
I will
So-
find, yeah. The kick is that I had actually said if we had hit 500 subscribers on our YouTube channel, I would do the Hot Wing Challenge. And sure enough,
As of the end of last step, literally, we were walking out
we
of the
walked
studio.
out of the studio. I went downstairs for my cigarette, and the next thing you know, Kevin turns to me and says, "Hey, Baron, guess what?" I had to look to him, and I was like,
His reaction was
No.
priceless.
no.
Long stream of expletives.
Nope. Yes,
Jumping up and
a
down.
long stream of 4-lettered expletives starting with an F, with an asterisk, and an ampersand, and about a billion freaking exclamation marks
Yes.
after that.
And jumping up and down.
And jumping up and down.
Quite literally.
Yes, quite literally jumping up and down. My shins are still hurting from it, and it's been a week because you people love us so damn
And we
much.
love you all. Thank you so much for bringing us to 507.
I will
For
find
those of you who are wondering why we're not doing the Hot Wings Challenge tonight, it's the reality of we're currently gathering supplies because we're not going to go do some cheap, half-assed buy it at a store. We're actually going to make, or I should say, Amisha and Beth are going to make them.
Yeah.
And that requires getting the multiple hot sauces of varying degrees of hotness.
Which is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
We're talking all the way up to over 2 million Scoville here.
Yeah. If anybody happens, for that matter, I wanted to point out as well, if anybody happens to have a bottle of hot sauce they would like to donate to the cause, feel free to contact me, email in the description.
Why would you want them to donate to my misery? Seriously.
You just
They're
answered your own
they're
question.
What the frick is wrong with you
You just
people?
answered your own question.
This isn't, and let me be clear, this isn't us pushing for money. I mean, we'll cheerfully get the money together and do this ourselves. But if anybody does happen to have a bottle of the stuff lying around, and you want to donate it to the worthy of cause of inflicting pain and misery on Baron, Kevin M. at .paranormalencyclopedia@gmail.com or the Paranormal Encyclopedia show at gmail.com in the description. Email us, let us know. We can set it up so you can send it out.
You know what? I'm going to posit a new challenge here. Should I posit the new challenge? I think I should posit the new challenge.
The challenge?
If we manage to reach 1,500 by the time we got these rings
That
wedded,
you're dragging me into this.
no, better than that.
What?
I won't do it. You will.
We had this discussion.
No, young man. We were going to do it together before. This time, it won't be me. It's going to be you. And only you.
Which leaves out the fun of having a philosophical argument while we both do it.
What makes you think that I can't have a philosophical conversation without eating hot wings and you do?
Bite me.
No, bite the wings. That's the point.
I also point out I'm a royal wuss when it comes to hot food. I'm
Exactly.
Not gonna get to the end.
You see,
I
it'd
will
be more
not
fun
make
to
it
watch
the
him
end.
suffer. I could actually take hot stuff.
Well, see, there wouldn't be that much suffering. It would be the first thing of wings, like the basic buffalo sauce, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"I'm out."
Wuss.
Having me do it would be a waste.
That's what I would
Honestly,
do too. It'd
it
be a
would be a
waste
waste
of all
of
the
money.
other
No,
sauces.
in which case, then you want to know what? Then if we hit 1,500, I'll do it twice.
If we hit 1,500, we'll do it together. I will stick it out as long as I can. And also, there's the reality: if we already have the sauces from doing it at 500, it's not that expensive to do it again.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, we'll already have it because the hot sauce is the expensive portion, but also the person that will last.
Oh, I will last. That's not a question. I've been struck by lightning. You think that pain isn't
He's not
going to be
joking.
topped?
Yeah.
I know.
No.
He's not joking. That's part of.
I know.
what,
I said that for the audience.
Yep.
At any rate, we should get to tonight's topic.
We should.
First, full credit. This topic was Baron's suggestion.
Yeah, go
Yes.
figure. I do. You want to know what? Not just a hat rack.
No, he's a smart guy. There's a reason. There's a reason I keep these two around, and it's not just the comic relief.
You mean because I keep coming back?
Yeah, that's the main reason.
Yeah,
for
I'm
both of
saying.
us.
No, if I did think you two had something useful to contribute, I would kick you out.
You mean like my misery? Apparently,
Yeah, that would
it
be
brings in subscribers, as it turns out.
You also have good ideas, like tonight's topic.
True, true that I do. You want me to
I'm
give the
trying to
exact
pay him a
wording?
compliment, and he's just.
I'm
see
just
how he-
being me.
Yep.
He's still being like, why
But
did I
anyway.
suggest the hot wings challenge?
So let me
Why?
outline tonight's topic with a story.
Right.
It's after the show tonight. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. You wake up. Maybe just you wake up. It's not actually that uncommon to wake up at 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I do it all the time.
Yep, so do I actually.
Same.
A lot of people do.
Maybe you had a weird dream. Maybe your partner kicked you in your sleep.
Yeah.
I usually have to go to the bathroom.
You're alone in the or you have to go to the bathroom. But you're alone in the house, and you hear the floorboard outside creak like somebody's walking across it.
Mm-hmm.
How settling.
If you look, you guys are ruining the moment.
Of course we are.
You look out the hallway into the dark hallway, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't see anybody there. You check your house. There's nobody there. You assume it's the house settling.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to bed. You hear it again.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know it's the house settling versus that your house is haunted?
There you go.
Because here's the reality. Brian is right. The majority of the time, it's probably just the house settling. But especially if you just stayed up all night watching all the Conjuring movies and The Exorcist
And paranormal activity.
and Paranormal Activity and the Amityville Horror, you're probably some niggling part of your head is going to be going, how sure am I that that's just the house settling?
Maybe that's a branch scritching against the glass pane.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And we've all been there. Yeah, the most rational and the most I think even the most skeptical people, because I've read stories of the ordinary happening, but the ordinary in such a bizarre way. Like I remember reading a story once from a skeptic who kept hearing this weird voice, always at the same time of night, in his room. And he didn't believe in ghosts. He was an atheist. He was a skeptic. He didn't believe in any of that. But every time in the dead of night, he'd be woken up by this weird, high-pitched voice repeating the same thing. So he went digging. Turned out it was a Spider-Man wristwatch, which had a, it's my Spidey senses tingling alarm that was set off, was set to 3 something in the morning. And,
Wow.
It was an old watch. The sound was a little funky. It didn't,
I would say so. That can be unsettling. Peter Parker's voice coming out of your wrist at 3 in the morning, and it's not exactly fully powered. Yes.
And Aaron, by the way, says, Baron, you already found me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The torture. There it is.
And there are, sometimes it's really easy to tell your house is haunted.
Right.
If you wake up, if it's the middle of the night and you're awake, and you see a headless woman walk down your hallway and disappear, you probably got a ghost, or you need your meds up.
Yeah, or that bad shellfish really shouldn't be where you go next time. Just a little bit.
Or maybe you should lay off the sleep meds.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I've had... Amisha brings up an excellent point. Sleep meds will make you hallucinate.
Yeah, Ambient's great.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I've done that. I got the T-shirts.
I got the slides, and the tape is coming out next week. It's great.
I remember I was on Ambien for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was on Ambien actually I was supposed to be on Ambien for a while. I did 2 days of it and said, okay, I'm not done with this. Because it didn't help me sleep, but it made me see some weird stuff.
There you go. And you want to know how bad it is for Kevin to say, I saw some weird stuff? This is a guy that's seen some shit. I'm saying.
I'll tell you. There's the first part of what happened that was funny. And then it got creepy.
Okay. Funny and then creepy is always awesome.
So it's 2 in the morning. I'm sitting in my living room talking to a friend of mine on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Like you do. On the Ambien, it's like, I still can't sleep. And it had been like 3 days at this point.
Which will also contribute to...
I've never hallucinated just from not being able to sleep, believe it or not.
Huh.
But on the shelf next to me, I have a about yay tall statue of Cthulhu.
Okay, that immediately freaking solves the problem. All right.
And the wings outstretched, and the tail going around. And I'm talking to my friend, and I look over at it, and it's like the bookshelf it's sitting on seems to start swaying back and forth. And the tail starts wiggling back and forth. And the wings start going up and down. I'm looking at that going, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I know it's not real, but that's still kind of cool.
And then what happened to make it creepy?
Then I decided to go lay down and try to go to bed. And
when Cthulhu flaps his wings, it's time to hit the sheets. Keep that in mind, folks.
Bedtime.
Lights are on, and I look up and I close my... And there's this weird thing with my ceiling that it looks like it's almost transparent. But it looks like there's something... It's not a ceiling. It looks like it's a wall, and there's shadows moving around like somebody's playing a basketball game on the other side. Which is still less cool, more just weird.
Yeah, that falls into weird category. I'm waiting for the punchline here.
Turn the lights out and close my eyes.
Okay.
And talk about your classically demonic imagery. Black hooded figures circling the bed. Like, just one end of the bed to the other, all black robed figures.
So it's a night to Bald Man.
Yeah. It's like, okay, that's a little much for me. Okay, nope, I can't sleep. That's creepy. And I got up. But the reality of it was, it's like, no, I knew I was on Ambien. I knew it was hallucinations. It wasn't demons in my house circling my bed, getting ready to kill me or something.
Brian, remember the last time we did that to him, you left your watch underneath his bed.
The Spider-Man watch, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say, though, back when I was a kid, I actually, my imagination would run wild a lot at night.
Oh, yeah.
And I had this movie poster from The Lion King that if I stared at it for like 2 seconds, it would start moving. I would look out my window of the bedroom and see the freaking McDonald's ad Transformer thing. And like they were doing some sort of tie-in with Transformers, and I would see that outside my window. I would go downstairs at night and look out to the backyard and see the fucking haunted mask from that Goosebumps movie. Hey, coming after me, and that actually creeped me out more than anything.
I had a Dracula toy when I was a kid. I loved it. I absolutely adored it because I've always been a Dracula fanboy. At night, sucker went sailing out the door every night.
There you go. I used to have an Inspector Gadget doll. I'm really dating myself here. All right, it would sit right on my nightstand. I don't know why, but at some point during the night, my hand hit his chest, and it caught one of the buttons that apparently you push to make his neck extend. He had fallen forward, so his head's facing me. So when I, in my sleep, hit that, his head smacked me in the face. I jumped up immediately from my bed. I must have been like maybe 4 at the time. I started screaming for my mother, saying, "Inspector Gadget's coming to get me." So for 2 years after that, I would not let that doll anywhere near me when I slept.
And it's all in good fun, and it is silly as heck.
Yes, yes, it is.
Especially among kids, there is a reality of a lot of the times they're just imagining.
Of course.
Investigators, myself included, will talk about how sometimes, in fact, fairly often, in my opinion, imaginary friends aren't so imaginary. But you can't go jumping at shadows every single time your kid sees a monster under the bed, a monster in the closet, or starts talking to his imaginary friend.
Especially if they can identify where that came from. Like I said, the Lion King movie poster, the McDonald's Transformer tie-in and thing, and the mask from the Haunted Mask.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But then you do have to wonder when you're seeing your cat or dog sitting in the middle of the room and staring at one particular space for just a little too long to actually be considered cute. Like, I lived in a house with 5 cats at one point. I'm not the cat man. I am Batman, not Catman.
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 Meow. Anyways.
Catmen are not cute. Cat girls are cute.
I know. And one of the cats decided to stare into a doorway. That's it. Now, I don't know if all of you kind of know exactly normal behavior of cats. They don't sit still for more than like 30 seconds. This fucker was staring at that doorway for about a good 5 minutes and did not move.
Unusual. I've seen them stare, but 5 minutes is a little...
5 minutes.
That is a little long, but...
Not a look over to a side, not a, okay, nothing's there, and then let me keep on looking. No, I mean, quite literally was like this for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen my sister's cat do that is when there's a bug, and he's like, I want to get it, I want to kill it.
Yeah, but even then, they'll have little stalker-like motions, you know, like their butt wiggle will start to go like I'm about to jump.
I've seen Frodo stay very still on something.
Because it'll be like up on the ceiling, and it's like, how can I get to it? I need to watch it. I need to wait for it to get closer.
Oh, yeah, no,
well,
I
the
totally
first thing to realize on that front, because, yeah, one of the first ways to tell that you're dealing with something haunted instead of your overactive imagination...
Or a very ambitious fly.
Is somebody else seeing it too? Because if you know, me seeing the hooded figures around my bed, even aside from the fact that it was on my now, what effectively is a mind-altering drug, prescription or not, the reality is there's a ton of explanations for that up to and including hallucination and delusion.
Like me and Brian sneaking into your room.
Or, yeah. Long before we ever met, apparently. Because this was many years ago.
Time travel.
He only thinks we met that one time.
This was more before I met Beth, who I think I've known longer than any of the rest of you.
Okay.
But,
anyways.
No, I was saying, I think of the gang here, I've known you. I've probably met you first.
Probably.
But if somebody else is seeing it too, That doesn't rule out that it's in your head because there's what do they call it?
External factors.
Well, no,
Mass hallucinations.
yeah, mass hallucinations or madness. There's a French name for it. Basically, means madness of two.
Oh yeah.
I forget what it's called
Yeah.
because somebody said that's basically what's happening in Perfect Blue.
Well, the point is, but once you have another eyewitness, it adds credibility.
Oh yeah.
Again, it depends on what you're dealing with. If you hear a floorboard creak, it's still probably the house settling.
Probably.
You hear distinctive footsteps up and down the hallway repetitively. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, back and forth and back and forth. That's a little too specific to be the house settling.
Yeah, naturally. I mean, if there's a progressive pattern and the noise specifically is moving, you got something.
There's also something else to realize about hallucinations that a lot of people don't necessarily realize, which is it's not by no means universal, as my story illustrates. You can have visual ones, but most people's hallucinations, including most people suffering from schizophrenia, as I understand it, are audio hallucinations. They don't.
Yeah.
Seeing things
Yep.
is less common.
I get them. I'm a paranoid schizophrenic, and I hear them all the time. I very, 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 very rarely catch a visual one, but in those particular cases, I don't think that's the schizophrenia. I do think that's the mediumship kicking in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, schizophrenia usually aside, naturally, if there's not mental health involved, if there's not drugs involved, you got some patterned sound going on, you got more than one person doing it, I think
Oh,
that would
God.
qualify, no?
Now I'm just remembering the one jerk we met at, I think it was Too Many Games Party, and he kept asking repeatedly, how do you know you weren't on drugs? How do you know you weren't on drugs? Because I didn't take any drugs. He told him that like 5 times, and he kept asking.
Like,
It's all drugs.
hello, we got somebody new. Maddie Jane, hello, I found you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Maddie
Hey,
Jane.
Maddie!
Is that someone you know?
It is somebody I know.
Oh, cool.
Hello.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I bring all the awesome viewers. Apparently.
We have lots of awesome viewers.
We do.
Not to say your viewers aren't awesome, but we do have a lot of awesome viewers.
We do, yeah. So awesome that they're making me eat 500. No, they're making me eat freaking hot wings. Thanks. You guys are great.
Yep.
But that's a good thing to start looking at is talk to other people around you.
Yes.
Are they seeing something? You know,
Yeah, it's also generally good to talk to other people because there was a show I only got to see one episode, but I need to find it again, where they took things that on their own they sound really like they should call Kevin in on
Yeah.
it, and then it's just really specific weird things happening, like if they sat a glass down on the counter, a few minutes later it'll shatter. What they found out was the weird way the road related to the way the house was built caused vibrations that nobody picked up on, but was enough to shatter the glass.
There you go.
which is an excellent point, and it leads to another good example, which is a common explanation that's been offered for haunted houses. So common, the Mythbusters actually tested it,
Yep.
Yeah.
which is infrasound.
Yes.
And so here's the thing. Infrasound is freaky in the way
Very.
that it can affect you. What it is it's a sound that basically is too low for your ears to register, but it's still actually, your body registers it, but you can't hear it.
Do you got the megahertz registry on that one?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. It hits below normal hearable sound, but apparently causes some, I guess you could call it hiccups in the neurons of the brain.
There's more. I actually, a friend of my old co-host,
Ah.
Drew, was actually familiar with this particularly because he had training in like going into house inspection and things like that.
Sweet.
And this comes up there. But here we go. Infrasound is defined by American National Standards as sound at frequencies less than 20 hertz.
Less than 20 hertz.
A classic example of this is like an intermittent drip on a pipe. Just every once in a while, drip, drip, drip.
Apparently, there's a few instances of unpleasant design, which, for people who don't know, are designed specifically to curb undesirables that they'll put on a frequency that anybody under 25 will find annoying.
Sound does have interesting
There's a
ways of
similar
affecting
thing
people.
there. But so here's the thing about infrasound, because yes, it's absolutely true that infrasound of sufficient, what's the word I'm looking for?
Concentration.
Yes, concentration is exactly the right way to put it. Will make you hallucinate, will cause severe feelings of paranoia, that there's somebody in the house, there's a presence there. There's a reason why, and it's not simply, oh, well, your body it's doing weird things to your neurons, which is what I thought as well. Apparently, yeah, when infrasound is that severe, your organs are liquefying in your body.
Yep.
It is the feelings of paranoia, the sense of danger, the sense of a presence in the house, is your body trying to tell you to get out.
Yep.
And a good solution to infrasound is, and this is common throughout, because the reality is, infrasound, somebody else in the house may have very similar experiences,
Right.
because it's going to affect everybody that's there. But you cannot photograph hallucination. You cannot record. If it shows up on camera, whatever you're dealing with is not a hallucination. It doesn't instantly mean paranormal, depending on the photograph.
Right.
But pretty much the moment you have a photograph of something truly anomalous, and we're going to come back to this because we're smacking right into one of my favorite windmills to tilt against.
Yay.
But if you have something truly anomalous on film, the time has come to broaden your explanations beyond that you're seeing something.
Right.
Another good piece of advice here is if you're having really bizarre experiences and hearing weird sounds and things like that, and especially if nobody else is experiencing it, and even potentially if they are, it's a good idea to go maybe talk to somebody who's qualified.
Yeah.
Because there is a reality of you may be suffering from some form of mental disorder, and we are by no means qualified experts to diagnose that.
And the thing is that if the qualified professionals can't determine what's up, if they find you to be and give you a total clean bill, no issue, and you're still experiencing that, call Kevin. Seriously. Because guess what? You got something in there that don't belong there, or you don't belong there because it was there first, and then you got to get it handled or squared away or harmonious, however you want to put it. I mean, but then again, isn't there some credence to the idea that if you're beginning to experience certain particular types of phenomena of the paranormal nature, that it could be you yourself that's causing it?
That's another excellent topic to get into. Although, I had another a viewer that brought up some good points I wanted to touch on as well.
Oh.
Because it's good. Audience participation is a good thing.
Always.
Yes.
Thank you.
Eric Cooper suggested having clients start a dream journal, which is
That's not a bad idea.
not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea at all.
That's
Also
something
made
a lot
an
of
excellent
therapists will
example
do.
of that. A group, I assume his group, but a group called FMP has a licensed therapist on their team. This is an excellent idea for investigators. Have somebody who's qualified. The exorcist I worked with was a qualified therapist. He had
There you go.
formal, and it wasn't a Christian. I've complained about on the show before the Christian therapy thing where they get BS training. It's like no.
No.
He had actual formal board certification.
Right.
My
That he
man
kept
had a
up to date.
PhD.
I don't know if he had a PhD, but he at least had a
like
master's.
like a license.
At
He was
least.
a licensed He was a legitimate licensed therapist.
Yeah.
And certainly, I will say this, and this is talking about the differences between mental illness and demon possession is going to be a series of shows in the future.
Yeah.
But to touch on very briefly, for a start, if you want to, if a demonologist like myself is going to do an exorcism, is going to get involved in an exorcism of a person, and an exorcist is going to get involved in an exorcism person, you need to show us medical records. We need that person needs to be tested for a battery of things, and not just psychological, but medical too, because our medical conditions that will cause you to hallucinate and will cause other
Oh
extreme.
yeah, brain tumors and
Oh yes,
strokes, all kinds
epilepsy
of things.
can look like
And I'm
possession
thinking
too,
also,
especially if you don't know what you're doing.
just for people who have to deal with violent hauntings, and they're legitimate violent hauntings, even afterwards, they're going to want somebody to talk to about what they just went through.
Yeah, it's a
Eric.
trauma.
So, reading more comments from this Eric Cooper, he runs a group called Forest Moon Paranormal. Eric, do me a favor and email me. You're sounding like somebody I might be interested in having on the show as a guest.
There we
'Cause
go.
Apparently, he's had experiences. He says, I always recommend dream journals for alien abductees.
Our producer is looking at you like,
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's talk about
The show's email, sweetie.
the
Yes.
Paranormal Encyclopedia Hour at gmail.com. I'm going to type that in chat as well. I was going to say, Melissa Jacobs also brings up an excellent question about, do you find more activity at 3 in the morning? And the answer is yes, and we're going to get into that in a moment.
Yeah, there's a good reason.
and in fact, the
We've
story
brought
I
it up.
specifically am sitting here to tell, there's another time of day you need to look out for that was one of my red flags that I was initially going to wave off.
And there you go.
But so there's but usually speaking, in haunting, patterns do sort of emerge. And but there's a particular subset of activity, which is what I particularly specialize in, which is demonic haunting, which is where 3 a.m. jumps into the storyline.
Speaking of timing,
Yes, it's right at the hour, which means this is an excellent time to give out the phone number in case anybody listening would like to call in.
yeah, call in. We'd love to hear from
Yeah.
you.
609-807-2492. That is 609-807-2492. Eric, I would like to talk to you about having you on as guest. Do feel free to call in now as well, though, if you would like. And that goes for everybody else. We welcome callers. I will point out, if anybody's inclined to call, if you don't realize this already, you need to mute whatever you're listening to us on. Otherwise, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, you
No,
get that
you-
weird echo effect.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Weird echo effect, and
You're gonna
especially
French
if you're,
fry when you shoot a pizza.
and especially if you're going to listen to the recording, which has a 20-second delay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep. So
It will confuse the heck out of you. It will confuse the heck out of our listeners. We've had this problem before.
oh yes.
But okay, let's say you've clearly have something in your house, and if it's a really big case, you'll know. It's case in point, if you see a man in the uniform of a Revolutionary War soldier walk through your front door, walk into the living room, and vanish, it's not house settling.
No.
No.
And if it happens, oh yes, and as was asked, because I do think Eric's going to call in, I'm going to post the number in chat.
There we go. See, folks, we're interactive.
Yeah.
We welcome callers. We even welcome criticism, as long as you can do it in a reasonable manner.
Yes, be civil, please.
Not only
I don't
want
wanna have to be mean.
not to do what that one lady did.
Well, the only thing she really did that made me pull the plug was the not knowing to hit mute.
And listening to the recording and not
Yeah.
us.
But so you have something in your house. How do you know the difference between you having a ghost and a demon? Now, a lot of the times it's not real hard to tell. If what's in the house grabs you by the hair, drags you out of bed,
And yells, "Get out!"
and starts to pull you under the bed. And I'm not making this up. This is from actual cases of what people have experienced. It's pretty clear you're not dealing with something friendly.
Nope. But then again, does that necessarily denote demon? Because there are some ghosts that are not friendly.
Well, okay. First, I should clarify
there you
something
go.
I've never really said I don't think I've ever really gotten into in the show. This is a problem I have a lot when I talk to our friend Arthur Moyer, who's been a frequent guest on the show, and to pagans, various other people who will ask me, well, how are you sure you're dealing with a demon and not a pissed-off ghost,
Right.
an angry fairy, a pissed-off elemental, or the huge wide range of other things that are out there? And the reality of it's really is pretty simple for me. I don't care. My concern is there a spirit in the house?
Right.
is the spirit a threat? If the spirit's a threat, the concern is how do we fix that? We have a caller.
Yay!
Is it a demon or a fairy?
Right.
And, hello?
Hey,
Hello.
Hello.
Who's
How you
this?
doing?
good. So I like your topic because we're actually going to be discussing this almost same topic on our show on Saturday at midnight.
Oh,
Very cool. So who is this exactly?
This is Eric Cooper, Forest Moon Paranormal.
Ah,
hey, there we
I figured
go.
it was
How
you,
you
but I,
doing?
We never
So
presume.
we have an emergency response team, and we actually have an astral team, which is trained in combat.
interesting.
So what I wanted to bring up though is not everything's a demon.
This
There's
is true.
11 billion malevolent entity types that are non-demonic.
I would absolutely agree with you. I would. That's the thing I get a lot is people tend to shorthand and call malevolent spirits demonic. Partly,
Right.
for two reasons. Partly because, in my personal opinion, a lot of the times what it is if it's truly malevolent, what it specific proper classification it is, isn't that important.
And
It's
as long as the
malevolent.
solution's the same.
And and exorcism works pretty well on most malevolent entities in my
Yeah,
experience.
no, a
Mhm.
house can have the same type of entity in it and have a Hindu monk, a Buddhist monk, a rabbi, or a Catholic priest all be able to do something about it.
Also, absolutely true. But more fundamentally, if it's a pissed off fairy, if you look into fairy lore, fairies are not fond of prayer. And prayer is a traditional prayer, ringing of church bells, or other traditional solutions to them aside from iron.
Yeah.
But I wanted to clarify because there's
Yeah.
a whole lot of fae type as well. Fairies are just one
Oh, true.
aspect of fae.
Oh no,
Fae, and
I
so what I classify, so fae is like an umbrella term, banshee.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I got a fae of work.
It's we could even talk Bigfoot. I don't classify Bigfoot as fae, but pretty darn close.
You and
'Cause
I
see
really need to
Bigfoot
have
as
a
god-
longer talk
Yeah.
about
I
this.
see Bigfoot, for
It
example,
really
as a
depends on
guardian.
which theory
Not
about Bigfoot you're
not all
going with.
fuzzy and warm per se, but I see them as a guardian of mountain areas.
Have you ever heard of the tulpa?
I have.
My personal theory is I think most, maybe not all, but I think most Bigfoot sightings are actually tulpas.
Not necessarily,
Eh.
actually.
I would politely disagree.
Well,
But
the fact
we're
is
open
that,
to
is
well,
that we're
well,
all dealing with theoretical.
As I said it before,
at this point.
when I gave the number out, we welcome polite disagreement.
uh-huh.
Well, at
Well,
least
and,
with
you know,
interactions,
and
lots of
that's
reasons it
that's
doesn't
the
matter.
joy of this field, because we deal with UFOs, alien abduction, Bigfoot, other cryptids, and of course the haunting, and but
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't look for evidence. We are strictly emergency response.
You and I
And
have
we
a
did.
similar approach. It's let's fix the problem.
Say
not
again?
It's what that suggests to me. You and I have a similar approach, which is let's fix the problem, not prove that spirits exist.
Exactly. Now the hard part is the psychiatric side of it,
Oh, yeah.
because psychiatric can work hand in hand. Now, not all, we encounter that a lot, and we automatically, anytime it seems strictly psychiatric, we get Francie involved,
Mhm.
and she, with her profession, can assess. Is it in the hard part is finding psychiatrists or anyone in the psychiatric field that is open-minded enough to accept that it might be paranormal.
That's changing in my experience, though it's a very slow change.
Yeah.
It's too slow. So I looked for 3 or 4 years for somebody in the psychiatric field before Francie came on board about 2 years ago.
I've known a couple. I have a friend of mine in the field that I want to talk to who's actually done some work with psychopaths that I want to try and get on. She's not necessarily a believer, but she's at least willing to have a nice, reasonable conversation. I want to try and get her on the show, also just to talk about her work with psychopaths.
Right. Now, the part that I think is changing with many of the psychiatric sides unless they're devout, Freudian, is if you can rule out that it's not schizophrenia, it's not bipolar, it's not drug-induced, but they're still having experiences, then, it might be paranormal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the open-minded side
rare
comes
occasion
from.
where it's both.
Yeah, and
Oh, God, yeah.
that's another thing people don't necessarily realize. Just because somebody's mentally ill doesn't mean they don't have a spirit problem.
No, exactly. Exactly. And
Because
so
we'll have
that's
goals.
where the astral side comes in, because we actually do have an astral school. It's not going right now, but for people that want to learn astral, we teach astral. And then if they want to join the team, they have the option.
That's always fun.
Because being astral, it's multifold. One, spirits and other entities don't expect humans to come in a different plane. And two, via astral, you can actually see what's going on in a different light.
And that is actually extremely true. I'm not sure if you can actually see me on the screen. I'm the producer, Beth, and I'm also, I guess, the closest thing to anybody on the more pagan aspects of finding the things.
Yep.
Right.
For a
And-
show ostensibly on Christian demonology, I'm the only Christian in the bunch.
I mean, fair enough, but
So-
I've actually gone out on things and been hit with things.
Forest Moon
that-
Paranormal is a multitude of religions, but we are pagan at the core.
Nothing wrong with
A
that.
good,
I'm not judgmental.
a good portion of the team is pagan.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, we have at least 2 pagans sitting here. I honestly don't know what a Baron is.
Lapsed Satanist.
Right.
Of the Levian, not the theistic
And I know
sort.
I
I am
actually
the
got away from the
Leviathan.
computer because the kids are loud in the other room,
Yeah.
so I'm actually in in a quiet room with a phone, so I can't see you guys
I
on
thought I
the
heard
screen
kids
right now.
when you first picked up.
When you
I
were
almost feel like
watching-
I'm at work.
When you were watching, the guy in the fedora would be Baron.
That would be me. Hi, how you doing?
So this is the
Yes.
first time I've actually heard you guys show, and the only reason I found it is because I can't remember who posted it, but somebody posted it in FMP, and I approved it. So you might have FMP members actually watching the video.
Well,
Oh,
hello
it's-
to any FMB people who are listening. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the show.
Indeed.
That may
Yeah.
from,
Oh,
was that from Twitter
I
or was
like
it from
your
Facebook?
so far, I like your topics.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I run a show called S4, which is named for the bunker in Area 51. And we talk a lot of UFO, a lot of abduction, but pretty much everything dark on the paranormal side under the sun.
Well, I'm prior service Air Force. We should talk.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm medically retired Army.
Hey, there you go. Where were you stationed at?
Beth, were you
Huh?
trying to
Where were you
repress
stationed
this
at?
morning?
Huh?
Oh,
Were you
which
trying to
time? I did
repress
19 and a half
us?
years. I did
Ah.
4 combat
'Cause it
tours,
looked like you
so
were trying to
I was
keep
all
from
over the
snoring.
place.
Yeah, so was I. My last duty station was out at Holloman, South Central New Mexico, not far from Roswell.
I will,
That's
Right,
why
I
we
know
should
all
talk.
that.
I will also say, because the show has strong feelings about this, and I have said this to Baron before, but Eric, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you very
anytime.
much.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Fellow brother in arms. God love you.
Exactly.
They
And,
wouldn't take
you know,
me
a
because
good
of my
portion of
knees,
the
but my
FMP team
grandparents.
are all veterans as well.
Hey, there you
One
go.
thing you will find is veterans we don't get scared.
No, we don't.
I mean,
least
when you
not
get into
often.
combat, that changes your whole perspective of life.
Yep.
And when you've been shot at and dealt with terrorists,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
you a spirit's not going to scare you. I mean, you know, Tony's been astral and actually had a spirit that thought she would scare him, and she tried doing the whole exorcist backwards, upside down movement, and he kind of laughed and hit her. And it's like, yeah, get out of here. But you know, we don't get scared. I could probably see an alien face to face and go, huh, yeah, you're not really green.
So this just
Interesting.
makes me think of the one story. I have a friend who's an investigator in Texas.
Oh yeah, that story.
She went into
Oh, boy.
a house that was supposed to be haunted. It was an apartment building. There had been a murder taking place there. The people who owned the house couldn't rent it out for the life of them ever since. Now, it being San Antonio, Texas, which isn't one of the best cities in the country, and it being a bad part of town to boot, she decides to ask a friend of hers to go with her. The friend's an ex-Navy SEAL.
Huh?
They walk in the front door, they hear weird noises. She goes to find the source of the noise. The ex-Navy SEAL ran out the door screaming.
He's never been in combat. That's all I have to say.
Nope. Never been in combat. And you know what? It's funny. So let's talk about paranormal TV for a second.
Okay.
Sure.
Because paranormal TV was great in the beginning. It exposed the public to the possibility there's paranormal. The downside with that is now you got every Tom, Dick, and Harry going, oh, wow, I want to be a Ghostbuster.
Oh,
and
good, yeah.
I know a few teams like this. They actually went out and they bought the exact same equipment that Ghostbusters or Ghost Adventures used, and they have no education whatsoever. But what they saw, the director kicking the rock and the director pulling the door closed and all the other stuff that you saw on the TV shows. And so now they've done a disservice to the field because they get pretty little business cards and matching T-shirts, and they've done multiple things. They've gone into a client's home and upset whatever might be there, and validated the fear to the client. And in some cases, actually, you went, spirits really exist, and they went screaming out the door, just like you said with the Navy SEAL.
Figure. Kevin, can we please talk about that lovely little example of Nodachi Boy? Please, please.
Well, there's another,
it's the best example ever.
There's another example
of that,
exactly of what he's talking about. I want to mention, although I think Marcus deserves a mention here.
Yes, so much, so much.
Oh, wait. The Crowley jackass.
Yes.
Yeah, the Crowley
So
jackass.
hold on. There's the less funny story, but it's a good example of excellent example of your point. I agree wholeheartedly with you on this, Eric. I was some years back asked to help a group like that. The guy who started it had seen, I think it was originally Ghost Hunters, and I don't want to disrespect Taps. The guy who taught me, Lou Gentili, was a friend of theirs. Always said good things about the guys. I don't know them personally.
Right.
I have nothing, but I ain't going there. But this guy saw that and thought, I can do that. Got a group of people together. Now, he got a group of really good people together. I'm friends with many of them still on Facebook, and because of what I'm going to get into, they split off from that group and started their own. The guy did have some serious issues with ethics, up to and including sleeping with a client. Yeah.
Yeah, that groan kind of sums it up perfectly.
Why haven't you told me so I can castrate him for this?
Yeah, now any team needs to have a code of conduct.
Yes.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
At least. And that's what you find, and that's how you weed out the wishy-washy teams from the valid ones is a code of conduct. What's that?
Oh.
Bye-bye.
Especially because...
And, any team that actually charges for an investigation, no. Close the door.
Agreed.
Most of us don't.
Yep.
Yeah, you get charged for doing speaking gigs or hosting events or something like that, but to do an actual investigation, that's different.
No, absolutely. We don't charge for trainings. We train once a month. I base a lot of our hierarchy and a lot of our methodology based on military. So
Roger that. MUCMJ all the way, brother.
Army's all about training. We train monthly. And this year, we're actually, because our headquarters up here in the Cascade Mountains, a lot of our training for this year is going to be mountain training.
Oh boy.
Wow.
I don't know what that's like.
Because coming from the emergency response side, I compare it to the ICS system, the Incident Command System, that FEMA uses.
I'm familiar.
And we do, I'm actually working on my bachelor's in Homeland Security right now.
Oh, wow.
And so coming from that, I've taken a lot of ICS courses. And I'm always shaking my head because I look at it and go, that's the same way we do in FMP. It's, there's still no difference. between responding to a volcano and responding to a haunting.
Roger that.
There really isn't.
Yeah.
The methods you use are obviously different, but the response is the same.
It's a practical. It's, if anything, a practical guideline that everybody should follow. I mean,
it's a good way to deal with a crisis situation.
Yeah, and then you got some jackasses that take a look at it and they throw it right out the window, like another particular individual that we know. Yeah.
But
yeah.
It has been requested by my cohort, so I do need to tell you the story of Marcus. So,
I still want to rip his throat out.
Chuck Lemon, who's a good friend of the show and a fellow investigator, had an experience where he was asked to help in a house with a violent entity of some sort, probably demonic, I think. Certainly it's demonic now. Whether it was or not to begin with is up to debate. Where this woman had asked a man named Marcus to help her first. Marcus was into Goetia. But I don't think he really knew what he was doing with that either.
Nope.
This guy shows up at the woman's house, says, okay, and brought a video game system with him. Because he needed something to do during the house cleansing, which was going to take the next 24 hours.
It gets better.
It gets
so much better.
So much better.
It involved waving a sword around, which would be the Nodachi in question. And leaving, the family wasn't supposed to be there for the cleansing, okay. But when they came back, everything was covered in blue chalk. Also, lo and behold, wound up going from violent but relatively mild to a full-on poltergeist, which he then blamed.
You just stirred it up.
Yep. But he said that it wasn't because of what he did. Oh no. The woman had latent psychic ability, and that was why the poltergeist thing was going on. The spirit was gone.
So with psychic ability, we have an extended care team which actually does the education side with the client, and what we teach is grounding and shielding. Because what you have with a lot of people that have abilities is they don't know how to ground the energy. They don't know how to, especially if they're like psychics and doing readings for people. They take that energy that all these clients brought with them home. And that's what a lot of the poltergeist activity is. It's not necessarily a spirit or any kind of entity. It's the energy that's not grounded.
That's a new take on them that I hadn't heard before, but that makes sense. And we really need to have you on as a full guest. I'll say that now. You are far too interesting in good ways not to speak to at greater length since we're running out of time.
No, it sounds like you got some good stories.
Yeah, I don't want to take up your whole show. I just wanted to call in.
Well, the show ends at
and
7:30 is the bigger issue. But no, I'm very happy that you called, and I'm glad that we touched base. I do want to tell the rest of the Marcus story because you'll get a kick out of this.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, my friend Chuck found out about another case this guy did, in which basically at the end of the I'll call it loosely an exorcism, Marcus told the family, he had that a portal had opened in the house, and there was absolutely nothing that could be done about it.
He opened a portal he couldn't close or refused to close, a la Crowley style back in the day.
He claimed no one could close it, which is BS.
One, BS because all portals can get closed, and even if it's not on their own. Two,
you don't know what you're doing if you did that.
You close
and not to mention, if you look at this guy's website, it's like bad Gary Steele fanfic.
One of his reviews is from his mother.
I think she might be possessed if she's, praising him like that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you find that a lot, and you have people that don't want to ask for help because they had a bad experience.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of those people, and people that want to test when they talk to you in a group. Understand, as frustrating as it gets, they want to test you because they want to see if you know what the heck you're doing.
Right.
I get it, I respect it, but it's like, okay, you're just slowing down the process of helping you because I have to jump through the hoops.
Well, I mean, we've even had...
Our team's been active for 16 years, and we actually started in Iraq.
Oh, wow.
I've been in this field for almost 30 years.
You got me beat.
They can test us all they want.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've been
You
in
know,
it about a little over 20 now.
I was raised
got
in the broom closet.
questioned, I think today on a post on Facebook, because we do have a child on the team. She's 12. She does not go on cases.
Okay.
She is strictly there for peer support of cases involving children.
That's actually... I was about to criticize you, but that actually makes sense. Normally,
No, she does not go. She
No,
does
the
not go
moment you-
boots on ground anywhere.
the
'Cause
moment
gotta
that you
understand
said
what
she
we
didn't
do
go
is
on
global, 'cause
cases,
the
it's like, nope,
astral-
you know what
with
you're
the
doing.
astral side, we don't. Yeah, we take cases globally. But when it comes to boots on ground, no, she is only a telephonic.
Yeah.
Or once we go in, we've cleared the residence, everything's safe, everything is calm, and we haven't had this need yet because so far she's done 3 cases. This is a relatively new concept. The extended care team's only been up for about a year now because we're always looking for ways to improve.
Which I totally respect, obviously.
Well, my newest concept I'm working on is, and it's in infant phases, is so in the disaster field we have ARSO. ARSO EDIS is a real-time disaster reporting center. I get a pop-up. I was getting pop-ups when the earthquakes hit Alaska before the news even knew about it.
There you go.
What we need is the same kind of platform for the paranormal. Someone sees a Bigfoot in the mountains, they report it on an app. It hits this ARSO platform, similar style, and we can have a boots on ground rolling out to that site within 10 minutes.
I like this.
This
is
that's
an
what's
interesting
needed.
idea. The only
That's what's
concern
needed.
I would
And,
have is just vetting the groups, but otherwise it sounds like a good idea.
Well, the reason, so we have a lot of reporting centers, but like with New Fork, which is the UFO reporting center, he only updates it weekly. So these people have had their sighting and reported it a week to a month prior. I was looking at these reports and going, Birdview, that's 10 minutes from my house. If I would have known about that when it was happening, I could have had trucks rolling in 5 minutes. So what we need is an active, real-time reporting center so we can have, teams on standby that can roll out as it's happening. Because, one, you get evidence while it's fresh. If a UFO landed, you can find radiation trace, you can find molecular structure. Because I actually have 2 scientists on the team as well.
Oh, wow.
One's a microbiologist, the other one's an atmospheric scientist. So we have our own labs.
You guys have this down. I'm impressed. So
I'm
far.
impressed too.
I'll say I'm curious. Do you know who Lou Gentili was?
Who?
Lou Gentili?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I'm a little surprised given you've been in the field so long.
I don't.
Lou was one of the pioneers back in the 90s. Fair enough. But he had he was my mentor. He and I did a radio show called The Lou Gentili Show.
Okay.
The most famous association that I'm sure you've heard of is he was the last student to be trained by Ed Warren before he passed.
Yeah. Okay, I know the ones.
Okay.
I know a few of the names. We're trying to get Dan Aykroyd on our show. Dan Aykroyd's
nice.
a big-time ufologist.
Very knowledgeable individual.
Well, yeah, he's big into paranormal.
And he has a family tradition of it, too.
Indeed.
Yeah, he does.
As loath as I am to say this, Eric, we're going to have to let you go because we're pretty much at the end of our time.
Okay, I'm sorry I wasn't trying to take over your show.
Oh, no, not at all. No, please.
Sorry.
It's actually
we
very
are
lovely talking
happy
to you.
have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more interesting.
We'll be in touch. We will have you on directly in the near future to do a full interview.
Yep.
But again, thank you so much for calling. It has truly been a pleasure.
Drop a line to that email and we'll
Not a
set up a date.
problem. It was fun.
Yep,
I just
dropping
sent you
a line
friend
to that
request
email.
on Facebook.
All right, we'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good
All
night.
right.
Copy that.
You too. Good night.
That was a very pleasant surprise.
I would say so. You know what threw me off near the end there? Brian flicked a spider off of one of the headphones.
I saw it.
I
I
thought
was
he
wondering
was just
what it was
bored.
flicking.
No.
I thought looked like he was bored or something.
No, he was like,
No, there was like it wasn't a spider. It was like a stink bug or something that was just
Some sort of
crawling.
You don't flick the stink bugs. They flip on their back and then they spew.
Thank God.
So, at any rate, We are just about on time at the moment. We need to update people on what's coming up on the show.
Okay.
And we need to, of course, plug our other sponsor.
Yes.
So next week we're going to have Guy of How to Be a Great Game Master, and he also does How to Be a Great Player.
Yes.
On the show.
How to be a player. Who's it, Bill Bellamy?
He's definitely one for the geeks out there because he does shows about Dungeons and Dragons and things of that nature. He has a really good YouTube channel, though. I really enjoyed. If you're remotely interested in geeky things, I recommend checking it out. He also deserves extra credit because he's in Japan. So it's going to be like 8:30 in the morning when he's joining us. But he's
And he's
still
about ready
show
to
up.
fly to the UK.
Yeah.
Rock on.
If he makes the extra 5 hours over here, I will give him a hug and put him up in a hotel room myself.
But great deal of respect for him being kind enough to do this.
Yeah.
The week after that will be Valentine's Day, and we will be broadcasting on Valentine's Day itself. And we're going to do a whole episode about various legends about Valentine's Day and love and the story of the two St. Valentines.
Oh, yes. Wait. Is there a massacre associated with one of them?
I would hope so.
Come
Both
on.
had their heads cut off.
They probably earned it.
Okay.
Well, the one that we get the holiday from did it for actually romantic reasons.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
you
get
could
into that.
You could say love certainly took a great weight off his shoulders.
And then after that, I'm very excited to say we will finally, after 4 years of trying, because, well, he's a very nice guy. He has a very busy schedule. We will be having Linkara of Atop the Fourth Wall.
There we go. Now, you know, I have to say, I show up on the show, now you guys get Linkara. You see, there you go. Let my ego inflate just a little bit more.
Most of
Apparently
our
you're good luck
listeners
charm or
probably
something.
are familiar with Linkara because
Damn
he's
right.
vastly more famous than we are.
Yes.
But happen to not know who he is and what Atop the Fourth Wall is, he reviews comics. Most notably, he reviews bad comics, but he also has a series that more directly relates to us called Long Box of the Damned, where he reviews horror comics. He actually reviews good ones as well as bad ones. You know, not just the bad ones.
Right.
And yeah, he's done both good and bad of the Uzumaki.
Yep. He also has strangely enough for a review show, has a storyline that runs through his episodes, which has plenty to do with the paranormal as well.
The Entity is by far my favorite storyline.
Yeah.
Human.
So your homework, if you're listening to this, your homework assignment for future shows is to look up Guy and How to Be a Great Game Master, to look up Linkara and Atop the Fourth Wall and check them out. They're both great YouTubers. I think you'll enjoy them, and we'll be speaking with them, so you'll get to hear from them. And for that matter, the lines are open. We have guests, so you guys can call in and ask some questions.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
So before we wrap it up for the night, we need to talk about NordVPN.
And you know what? Talking about checking out different YouTubers, different websites and whatnot, these guys could certainly help because I know that a lot of you are probably in certain areas where you can't access certain websites. NordVPN can help with that. It'll allow you to be able to use military-grade encryption. They won't know where you're checking it out from. It guards your bookmarks. It guards your IP address. It guards the whole 9-inch shebang. And you know what? It's affordable.
Yep.
You know, I mean, let's say, for instance, you're out in China. You want them to think you're in, I don't know, London. They could do that,
Yep.
especially if maybe you're in Kansas. They'll be able to really check you out, hook you up, and you know what? I use it, so you should too.
So do I.
Yeah,
There you go.
military grade encryption, and as soon as you're done with
Yep.
it, they completely clear your history.
Yep, it's one of the greatest things ever.
It's one of the biggest selling points they have over. There are other VPNs, and there are other good VPNs. One of the things that sets Nord apart from most, if not all of them, is they don't keep browser histories.
Exactly. And you know what? That in and of itself, I guarantee you, for a good majority of our
Yeah.
listeners, is definitely a selling point.
Yeah.
So,
They
you know what?
operate it somewhere where nobody can request the browsing history from them, and
Yep,
even
it's
if they
in South
could,
America, and they do not have extradition laws.
So, you know what?
and
check
even if
out-
they could, they have nothing to show them.
Not that we advocate doing anything outright illegal on the internet.
No, not at all.
No.
No.
But we do advocate privacy because privacy is important.
Amen to that. So, you know what? Check out NordVPN.com. You'll like it. I know I did. I know they do.
30-day money back guarantee.
Exactly. So, hook yourselves up. Couldn't hurt.
But that's going to do it for tonight. This is Kevin Mears saying good night and God bless.
Brian McKinley saying, keep your fangs sharp.
Meow 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 meow.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
and avoid some damn lightning rods. And damn you all for making me eat some damn hot wings.
You haven't done it yet.
Good
I
night,
will.
everybody.
Right.